Hi, welcome back to another Morbid Sunshine. I'm going through a human phase again, and I hope people don't mind that. I just wanted to do something that gave something, and I saw this with John Ray and his opinion on the documentary. It was peculiar, I've got to admit, the documentary was peculiar. And
back on the show, what is your reaction?
I still feel that, yeah, they knew. And I'm sorry for anyone who thinks otherwise. You know, I don't know how you can live in that delusion. Look at the house, the size of it. But I try not to judge, because I'm tired of people who are defending this woman and defending this man. I suppose the children are victims, even though they're part of it, possibly. I don't know. I really will never know. I know as much as you, and your opinion, that's welcome, no matter if it's different from mine.
First, to Azat Elarup's comments in this documentary that she's fallen in love with him all over again, seeing him in jail, accused with 7 murders.
Apologies.
You have to understand, I think, in looking at this entire series that was put out, that this is a show, and she's being paid a lot of money to put on a show, and she and her daughter are doing very well at that. This is fake, and her statements are informed by this fakery. What I mean is this: if you listen throughout the entire 3-part series, one thing becomes very clear. Both of those women, no matter what, are actually setting it up to show that they have no involvement in these killings or in anything connected to these killings. Neither one of them has any involvement, John, if you listen to them. And John, that's what they're professing. So I don't trust a word you say.
It's weird to me. Okay, but what's weird to me is that if you don't want to have any involvement, and yet, Azat Elarup's hair was found in the tape on some of the victims, so the involvement is there. Why wouldn't she just disavow this man? She's divorced him, right? She divorced him like within, I think, months of this arrest. So why would she now profess this undying love and suggest that he's innocent? That makes her look maybe even more culpable, or possibly more culpable. And now she can be compelled to testify because she divorced him and doesn't have spousal immunity.
Well, you still, I think, maintain your spousal immunity during the time that you're married. So I don't think that she loses anything in that regard. But if you think about it, for her to actually pretend that she still loves him and so forth, well, maybe I should take that back and say maybe she does, but she loves him in a very sick context, a very dark context in which these people were living, in which they were operating. And it's undeniable, as you just pointed out certain undeniable things, it's undeniable that her daughter's hairs were found on 2 of the bodies, that her hairs were found on 2 of the bodies, and it's undeniable that each of them were living in that house throughout time that Ray Tierney, the DA himself, had said, he was almost quoting me, that he had hundreds of prostitutes, hundreds, that were going through that house. Now, that's a 1,343 square foot house. It's a bungalow, or in essence. And you mean to tell me a married couple for 27 years doesn't know what's going on downstairs?
And his wife have lived next door to Rex Heuermann for nearly 3 decades, and he says he spoke with him almost daily.
The guy was odd and strange, but never violent.
Chevalier says when he moved in 28 years ago, Huerman would look over the fence and try to talk to his wife while she sunbathed in their backyard.
It happened so many times that finally I pulled him over and said, and we had a talk.
The woman felt, quote, creeped out that Huerman continuously looked over at her, according to her husband.
We had to talk, and it wasn't a pleasant talk, but he stopped, and he didn't argue with me or anything. He just, backed off.
From that point, they would become cordial neighbors. These days, the only people who have any contact with Huerman are law enforcement.
Elizabeth, new details are emerging about this secret double life Rex Huerman hid from his family. And while the crimes may have originated right here in Long Island, we're seeing this investigation now span across this entire country. This evening, new revelations are coming to light of the personal life of accused Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Huerman. His longtime next-door neighbor, Etienne Devier, inviting News Nation into his backyard and sharing a number of unsettling encounters he had when the 6'4", 250-pound accused killer peeked over the fence as his wife sunbathed.
At first, I thought, he's just trying to be neighborly. And then after it kept happening every time she went out there like that, then finally it started to creep her out. And she felt uncomfortable, and I had to do something about it.
As portraits of battered women and life-size dolls kept in glass boxes are pulled from his Long Island home, investigators across the country continue to comb for clues. In nearby Amityville, New York, detectives cleaned out a storage space tied to Huerman. Police were seen carrying large boxes of confiscated goods into their evidence trucks. More than 700 miles away, the Chester County Sheriff's Office helped the New York State Police comb through 22 acres of land owned by Huerman. Authorities would ultimately tow a Chevy truck off-site, presumably the exact same truck police used to link Huerman to the Gilgo Beach crimes. And now, more than 2,000 miles from South Carolina, Las Vegas, Nevada, where Huerman owns a condo. Police there tell News Nation they're reviewing cold cases to see if there's any possibility Huerman is involved. Back on Long Island, the accused killer is in an isolated cell on suicide watch. Sheriff Errol Toulon tells me he rests in bed and doesn't make a fuss. He has a TV, but doesn't watch it or ask to see the newspaper.
It just seems like at this point he's just in his cell by himself, I guess reflecting or just sleeping.
In on prostitutes as they were easy targets, but respect women in everyday life, Powell claims. Alleged Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Huerman targeted sex workers because he knew few people would look for them, according to his friend. Hulking Huerman, 61, is awaited trial over the murders of 7 of the Long Island murders and stands accused of luring petite younger ladies with the promise of money for sex work before killing them and dumping the bodies on Ocean Parkway. Near Long Island is Long Island Dome, just about 10 minutes away. I don't think it's because he has hatred for sex workers, his friend says. It's that they were easy targets for him. David Gimnes, who first met Huerman in 2006, told the Post. David Gimnes said he had no idea there was anything amiss about Huerman. During their decades of long friendship, he told Peacock, I am not a psychiatrist, but I don't think it's the fact that they're hookers is the reason he's killing them. I think he's killing them because he wanted to kill. And they were easiest prey, added Gimnes, who tells of his friendship with Huerman in a new documentary, The Gilgo Beach Serial Killer House of Secrets. Nobody supposedly cares about sex workers, he says, and he found them the easiest targets. It's so warped, I don't even know what to make of it. Alleged serial killer Huerman in Suffolk County Court for hearing in April 2005. His trial is not expected to start until 2006, the Newsday letter says. Now I'm going to go to Hidden Crime Channel. They have watched the whole series.
And continuing coverage of the case against Rex Huerman.
In the annals of American true crime, there's a particular category of cases that haunts not just because of the violence, but because of how long it went unseen by the people closest to the perpetrator. When we think of BTK, Dennis Rader, who bound, tortured, and killed for years While raising a daughter, attending church, writing code enforcement citations, his family had no idea. And there's Israel Keys, another example of a man who lived two lives so completely that his crimes went undetected by even those sleeping in the same house. And now we add another name, Rex Heuermann, the accused Gilgo Beach serial killer. On paper, an architect, a father, a husband. But behind closed doors, according to prosecutors, something much more sinister.
And what's uncovered here is very unclear why Ella didn't know. This is a bungalow. We also have the affidavit saying that the lady who went to the house was there to swing with them, and basically she didn't want to. So, Canva got was left that night and never seen again. So Asa Elrup does know to an extent, and we have seen like her neighbours say, how did she not know about all of the sex workers?
Taking shape. The case has shocked the
unanswered
nation,
questions.
but maybe no one more than his own family. His wife, Asa Elrup, his daughter, Victoria. They say they didn't know, and for many watching from the outside, that's hard to understand. How can someone be that close to a suspected serial killer and not suspect a thing? It's a good question. Tell me in the comments about what your thoughts are on this case. We're going to unpack this in just a moment. Before we do that, press subscribe again wherever you're listening to the podcast, and check out our YouTube channel. Search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi to join in that conversation right there. So to help us unpack all this,
please visit the channels that I advocate for, because these channels are telling us not what everybody else is telling us. Their insight is on a psychological level, and it is interesting because I've got no psychological expertise. He has people on who are crime analysts. Interesting.
By someone who has spent his career studying deception, secrecy, and human behavior. One of the best in the world. Robin Dreeke, retired FBI special agent and former chief of the counterintelligence behavioral analysis program for the FBI. He's worked with spies, traitors, manipulators, people who live double lives for years without detection. And now, Robin's going to bring his unique lens to the Gilgo Beach case and reflects on what the new Peacock documentary reveals, not just about Rex Heuermann, but about the psychology of the people that he lived with every single day. What you're about to hear is not speculation. It's behavioral analysis rooted in decades of experience. It might change the way you think about guilt, innocence, and the blind spots we all carry when it comes to the people we love. Robin, I'm going to start here. You saw the doc just like I did. What's your overall thoughts?
What a strange person I am. I loved it. That's what and here's why. Many, like most of the cases we covered, Tony, we don't get a closer up view of the individuals involved. We have to rely on media. We have to rely on really.
I will get to the meat of the matter in a minute, the clips on the documentary. But I just want you to listen a little bit to what this guy's saying.
Short clips or documents or things like that to kind of assess, the human beings involved here. And as my role inside the FBI was not to diagnose anyone with any kind of mental illness or anything like that, is really to do a deep dive to understand their patterns of life, to predict behavior and identify potential areas, to identify data and evidence for testimony and all these other things. And so that's what this is really good for. Instead of just seeing pictures of Asa and Rex and the daughter Victoria, you actually got to hear them, hear the voices, so you can see congruency between nonverbals and verbal. When we're looking at that, a better way to empower someone with choice and allow them to feel a sense of control than to nudge them and say, hey.
This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Bruschi and continuing coverage.
Things about what went on.
But there, boy.
Let's start out at the beginning. This is how she met Rex, because it kind of sets the scene for everything that goes on afterwards. This again is from the documentary special.
I moved here in with Rex in November of 1995. No, that's my favorite. I met Rex when I was 18 years old. He was going to college. I was working at 7-Eleven. I was born in Iceland. My younger brother was adopted to an Icelandic family, and I was adopted to America. But because of that, I traveled a lot to Iceland with my family. And Rex, he traveled a lot. He went on archaeological digs. He's the kind of guy you turn your head and you go take a look at, you know? He was tall, handsome, debonair young man. I love tall, dark, and handsome. That's me. And at that time, I was madly in love with the man. There's no doubt about that. But then I met my first husband and got married. But things did not go well at all. After my son Christopher was born, my ex-husband became somebody completely different. I was in the process of getting a divorce. Christopher's father, he wasn't very nice about it. He said to me, there's no way in the world he was going to be okay with me being happy with somebody else. Rex was the kind of person that you could call, even if you just wanted to talk, and that's it. We were friends. Everybody needs a friend. So Rex came with me one time to go pick up my son.
There's something very spooky about her, I've got to admit, and it does seem an act to me. It seems like it's very put on. She seems natural talking about him as well. It's pretty weird, you know.
Rex was standing there, and he heard what he said. Rex then says, okay, I'm not worried. Let's get a lawyer. Let's take him to court. And then he paid for the lawyer to take him to court. So fast forward, I got my divorce. There was no reason to hold back. You know what I mean? So Rex said to me, I've got a nice house. I mean, it's not big, not elaborate. How about you come and see if you'd like to stay there? I'm like, yes, I would love to. And then I found out I was pregnant with Rex's baby. And he said to me, well, how do you feel about marrying me? And I said, yes.
She's like still reliving the experience. She's not accepted what he's done.
This is a picture of me, and I'm looking up going, I finally got him. He's mine.
She still seems to have that same vigor about her of, he's mine. Everybody needs a friend, right? Lot to unpack there. I'm just going to go with you. What stood out to you?
Watching it again that time, there's one statement she said. There's a lot of statements in there.
Yeah.
You can obviously see. I mean, if you didn't know what you know now about him, you're like, wow, what a great guy.
Yeah, I mean, they look like a normal, like, if you look at what they are today and you look at those pictures from 1995, it looks like pretty much any normal couple's wedding family photos.
It does. And here's something to kind of go to what I was saying about why he selected her. Again, was it a conscious choice because he wanted to use her to cover his horrible tracks? I just think it's intuitive. I think it was an attractiveness. And here's the attractiveness part. She said her ex-husband turned into somebody different. She lacked curiosity through that entire life arc. So in other words, she was unable to see anything that's presented deeper than the surface.
Yeah.
I don't like using that word gullible because it kind of...
Yeah, she is quite surface level, isn't she? You know, easy to manipulate, perhaps.
I don't like demeaning anyone or like victim blaming in this, but she doesn't have a deeper curiosity to understand why people have the actions they have. She takes people on their surface. I mean, it's a very endearing quality people have, you know, but at the same time, it made her susceptible to predators.
Yeah.
And the first husband was a predator from at least took advantage of her, dumped her and left. And she didn't see it coming, turned into a different person. And what happened the second time? Turned into a different person. She's completely, and still doesn't believe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big part of that. I was wondering about that because she was able to recognize bad behavior at one point in time, it seems, but nothing beyond it really much until Rex comes in and says, "Well, let's do something about this." And who knows? I have no idea what her situation was. Maybe the idea of getting an attorney at the time was just unattainable, you know, financially.
7-Eleven.
Yeah, so there probably wasn't a lot of options. It's that X kind of had her where he wanted her in terms of control.
Now, this is the room where he displayed his firearms collection.
So the famous gun room, when I sat there, I recall vividly that he said, in 30 years, you're the fourth person to ever be in this room. And I was like, wow. And that's when he showed me his collection. He said he started collecting rifles and all kinds of guns early on when he was 18. And it was an amazing collection.
There's nothing in this case that suggests that those guns were utilized in the commission of any crime.
A walk-in gun vault. That's one thing. But a secret room? I was like, oh my God.
According to a colleague of Rex Heuermann's, he had a room specifically built in his basement that even his wife was not allowed to enter.
That's the secret room everybody talks about. It's kind of a walk-in closet in the gun room that is actually right under the stairs.
He didn't want anybody to have access to it, the secret room. So nobody would know, not because he was hiding anything, but because he wanted to secure a safe in there.
And I actually didn't see what the inside of it actually looked like until after all this happened. I couldn't get in there myself. All this happened. I couldn't get in there myself.
All completely normal behavior, right? Normalized, but not normal.
That's what you grow up with. That's normal behavior. And also, from what I understand, too, it's also his childhood bedroom.
Yes, and that's a point I want to get to on this, because I think there's something to that. And also I think it plays into the why the house has never been updated, why it still looks like 1965 in that.
Can't have contractors in there tearing shit apart.
No, you can't. But I wonder if there's a level of him finding peace in the familiarity of childhood, because essentially if he goes back into that basement, which was his childhood bedroom, and it's his kind of like safe, happy place, it makes you wonder what was going on in childhood with Rex too. What was going on in that basement? What, was there something going on in that basement, or were those like happy, pure times before he got into this dark road? Or, was he always kind of doing some stuff down there that was kind of off, that he kept secret from the rest of society? But it still has a element of comfort because it is from childhood, and he was able to kind of weave in this darkness that he got into in adulthood into a safe place, and then it all kind of normalized it for him in life, psychologically.
I think all of it, Tony. Yeah. I think these are all parts of a whole. I mean, so let's take a look. But by comparison of current cases, and again, they're both innocent until proven guilty. But you look at Brian Koberger, without actually, we don't have to place his name, but someone like him who's a curious serial killer gives you a much different vibe. There's someone who's really with a broken brain, trying to seek out some sensations to give him a sense of fulfillment. I get a different feeling and a tenor from Heuermann, and I just get the feeling that these are half of these behaviors he's doing were learned behaviors. I don't necessarily think he was like born doing a lot of this weird shit that typically pure broken brain people do. Mm-hmm. I think half of it was learned. I think maybe coping mechanisms he was having, because from what I understand, he was bullied pretty decently growing up, and safe places, psychological comfort from being in the bedroom that you grew up in. And the other thing that struck me too is only 4 people to visit the gun vault in his gun collection. So here's what's kind of striking about that too. Years ago, there's a good book that was put out. I can't remember the author's name, but the book is called Snoop. And what Snoop talks about is what our stuff says about us. In other words, things we have on display. Like, for example, behind me here, I have my books. I got my retired FBI creds. I got pictures of my kids. These things I have displayed for you, the world. I got my Marine Corps emblem here. I mean, they mean things to me, but these are things I project out to the world because they're what I want you to see as part of who I am to make a whole. And now here's the interesting thing. What he said was only 4 people have seen this gun vault. In other words, he didn't have this collection or his persona he's projecting to the world. This was his enjoyment for himself. Mm-hmm. That's a lot different than what people generally typically put out there. So he got his self-enjoyment from that gun collection. So that whole room and that whole complex, and small downside, I call it complex, but that whole small secret place downstairs was purely for his psychological comfort. No one else's. That was his secret place to feel good about himself.
I want to read that book. Sam Gosling, by the way, is the author
that's it,
of Snoop. That looks really interesting because I have all sorts of stuff around here. You can't see it on camera. But I mean, I'd be really curious to learn about that. I have all sorts of, I have a lot of childhood stuff over here on the wall. I have, in my childhood, I was working in radio. I have mic flags. I have all sorts of radio stuff. I have Ghostbuster stuff. I have things that my grandfather gave me. I have a Jim Beam bowling pin where the top comes off, and I remember him showing that to me as a child. Oh, this is so neat, a bowling pin. And it's actually when he was...
all part of the arc, Tony. That's why, one of the questions I asked you, together, working together, for everyone else listening, it's hey, what was that inspiration all those years ago that helped Tony be who he is today? And that's, all these things that we hold on to are part of that arc.
The stuff tells a lot,
It does. Yeah. And then it's not just, it tells a lot, but it tells us what we want others to see too. So what you'll see in Gosling's book is that you look at if you go to someone's office, or this is my home office, where are the angles? Are they angled for me? Or are they angled for you? Mm-hmm. And that tells you what someone's trying to project, or is it something they're using for themselves? And so it's really, again, there's no right or wrong here. Yeah. It's just assessing part of understanding everyone. So all these things that Rex had was not about other people consuming what he had. It was all purely for him. Because this was not a show house. He didn't have what appears a show job.
Yeah.
Dollhouse, again, that Dollhouse to me is really striking because he's a gifted craftsman, a woodworker. He had habits and collections that I saw as really pretty different from what we've seen from others. So because again, one of the things I was also looking at is how was he able to placate himself in between kills, in between murders that he was using for his own gratification? I think that's why he had such extreme, what might, at least to me, seem more extreme collections and extreme hobbies, because he really needed that level in order to do that. The soliciting prostitutes, that's an extreme behavior. Stalking prostitutes, extreme behavior. Huge, massive gun collections, going to rifle ranges, extreme behaviors. So, really interesting.
Yeah, and especially, and we'll take a listen to some of the clips of the daughter in just a little bit, because she's really conflicted about this. I mean, she had in her mind, a normal dad who would build a dollhouse for her, who would spend time with her, who would do things. And
of accusations and details, and she's not accepting any of it. And I don't think it's a survival mechanism. I just think she just doesn't believe it, because that's not who she knew.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's see some more of Asa in action here.
I'm sorry. That planning document is so Dexter style. It's absolutely absurd.
Say if they really did happen down here, he really must have been like Superman. For us not to have noticed anything ever. This used to be like his bedroom growing up. A lot of his, like, not only just gun stuff, but a lot of his childhood stuff, family heirlooms, were in this room. So for him to do that in this room, a little unrealistic, but I guess not impossible.
No, sorry. You want to know how I feel? They are picking, making assumptions for their narrative. I know that. I've known Rex since I was 18 years old. I know what this room was originally used for, and they're just allegations. He's never said to me, don't use my computer. He's never said, no, I'm not going to give you the password.
In other words, was there anything off limits?
There is nothing off limits from Rex Heuermann.
There's nothing off limits from Rex Heuermann. You can't go in part of your house.
Tony, that was the key. When I saw her make that statement, you know why there's nothing off limits? Because she never asked.
Yeah, exactly. It's
so when I saw that clip yesterday...
Yeah.
They have a valid point. I mean, it's the fact that, like, she is the way she is, that he targeted her to Ella up out because she's so blind. They're just allegations. Okay.
As well that she was struggling with. I don't think Asa, I don't think she has been or will be.
Yeah.
But again, that grooming aspect of it, though, is what I agree with is congruent. They're groomed into what normal looks like. But also, and so actually, just if you want to draw a parallel here, Maddie Soto's mother sided with her boyfriend over Maddie, her daughter.
Yes.
And everything.
And that reminds me a bit of this, yeah. It really does. It's scary that these people can be like that, you know?
It'd be interesting. Asa obviously is not, if it'll be interesting what it does to the family dynamic, because the daughter is on the fence and thinks her dad did it. It'll be interesting to see what it does to the family dynamic there, because she's not going to go against Rex.
Let's take a look at that, because I think the daughter is dealing with some of that right now. Here's some of her observations on...
Looking at this, it's like she's sort of in the background, knowing exactly what's going on, perhaps. Maybe not able to address it because her mother's so deluded. And I'm not trying to make a narrative up here. I just say what I see. And I've kept away from conspiracy throughout this. If you come across like a single cell organism, like who's pretending this isn't happening, you're making the assumptions. I'm not.
Even with all this growing evidence against him, maybe there is some loyalty still to my dad and to my mom too. Like, listen, whether the world likes it or not, whether I like it or not, he's my dad. And they can't take that away from me. I don't know what acceptance looks like. Acceptance to me is just, I have to move on. I think, if he was guilty, it's going to start to become like a love-hate relationship. This is my dad, and I love him as my dad.
I've seen what she said there as well, like, I accept my mum, I accept my dad, but I also accept my mum, like she's an afterthought type of thing as well. It's a bit strange.
The hate is this other side of him that came out, and going forward, I'm not going to interact with him the same way I would have if this never happened. Both the feelings, love and hate, can coexist.
she seems to have the best grip on this of all of the family members. I mean, she's got.
Yeah.
City, showed her where BTK's house was, went into the grocery store where he used to work, and I used to go to that grocery store regularly. It was my grocery store. And I'm like, hey, did you know about, I was like giving her the fun facts of BTK. She's like, oh, really? Anyway. But
You do hobbies, don't we?
yeah, it's like, where Wichita, what should we do for the first thing? Let's go to find the BTK house, where it was, and let's go to the grocery store, let's go to Leakers. Here's the gas station Terry worked at. But I digress. I want to take a look at this other clip here, because it's a really weird statement. It goes back to Asa, and it talks about not wanting to make Rex upset, and what would make Rex upset. And the answer to that question is very bizarre. Let's take a look, and we will talk about it on the other side.
Bye. I'm talking to him all the time, but he only has a certain amount of time to be able to make calls, so I can't get too comfortable talking to him about things that are going to hurt him. What would hurt him? What are things that hurt him? Telling him that I love him, that will hurt him. The two of us were married for 27 years. We were 100% part of each other's lives. Does everybody really believe everything they hear?
Rex Heuermann is a demon.
Charged as a serial killer.
Do you really believe everything that's being said?
This man is a sexual sadist.
He enjoyed torturing his victims.
Well, we didn't buy it.
I'm not sure how the regulations are in here, but I'm watching it through someone else. I'm doing this for research purposes, not for trying to, because I've seen this already. But if you want to go and watch his channel and listen to the analysm, it is very detailed and very accurate.
Telling him that I loved him, that would make him upset. What does that mean?
So here's my conjecture.
Yeah.
I think there's a decent probability that she's placing the empathy that she has on him, that he has, that he's just like her. That he, like, she sees him as a great family man, and I think that she thinks he sees himself as a good family man, and that because it would hurt her, kind of like, so let's take a look at the Delphi murders, Richard Allen, real quick. Richard Allen was devastated by what this was doing to his wife and his family, being accused of murdering these girls.
Yeah.
And I think that she thinks that since it would hurt her to he's going to jail. I think it's the pain of the relationship, the pain of being emotionally separated is what would hurt her, was being emotionally separated from the family man. And so I think she's then reversing and putting on him that he wouldn't want to hear how much she loves him because it'll hurt him even more that they're separated. I think that was the really intent there. What was interesting also was, you see how long of a pause she had too with the blocking of the eyes closed, because she's really trying to, I don't think she understands what would hurt Rex. I think what she was thinking of was what would hurt her to hear, and then place that on him. Because it would hurt her to hear him say how much he loves her, because it would just remind her that they're separated and might not ever see each other again.
Yep.
All of these girls that were found on Gilgo Beach, they were girls. They were somebody's daughter. They were somebody's sister. Nobody deserves what they got. But Rex was not seeing prostitutes. He's a family man. He didn't do this. I would need to hear it from Rex, face to face, that he killed these girls for me to believe it. My husband never kept me out of anything. That's why I'm going to the courthouse. That's why I want to see it for myself. It's important for me to know what he's going through. And I want to be a part of it.
There's a lot there.
That is so weird.
I don't even know where to begin. She wants to go. Yeah, go for it. What stood out to you?
She said I need to hear it from him.
Yeah.
She wouldn't believe it anyway.
That's what that was what my question was, and my mind went somewhere else. What would happen if she heard it from him?
Like the Delphi wife, she didn't believe it even when he confessed. She's not going to believe it. It's like they pick these type of women. It's bizarre.
What if she just heard that he admitted that he was seeing prostitutes? Because that answers that question. That was a question I think a lot of us had. Was this kind of an open relationship, at least for him, where he could go do it and she just kind of, when he does it on the side and I'm okay with it? Or clearly not.
I don't think so. I think so. Again, trying so hard to have deep empathy on this, like placing myself in her shoes. Like I think the response would be, Rex, don't say that. That you don't have to say that to save me. Or I mean, I think she's going to place herself in the role. She would place herself in the role of thinking him sacrificing himself in some way to save her and the killed kids by admitting it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I think there's no way I don't think in a million years she'd accept anything he'd say or anyone will say about him as of today.
Yeah.
And she's not going. So again, here's what was interesting too. The other statement she made: I need to see what he's going through.
Yeah,
he's not going to court to learn the truth. She just wants to go see him to see what he's going through. Again, what's that? It's empathy, him, connection, comfort. I mean, it has nothing to do with facts and details. To her, there again from her own words, from her own behaviors. I don't think there's a fact or detail anyone could present, including Rex, that would say he did this. And anything he says is to protect her and the family because he's a family man. I mean, so you see how she's.
It's devastating to hear that. It really is.
This is The Big Breakdown, a long look back at some of the biggest stories we're covering for you at the Hidden Killers Podcast and True Crime Today. This is the Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Bruschi and continuing coverage of the case against Rex Heuermann.
In many true crime cases. But let's start out at the beginning. This is how she met Rex, because it kind of sets the scene for everything that goes on afterwards. This, again, is from the documentary special.
I moved here in with Rex in November of 1995. No, that's me.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
Here's something that didn't make it into our discussion, but provides crucial context. Phone calls from Suffolk County Jail cost money. Lots of money. Talking about dollars per minute. Companies profiting from prisoners' contact with the outside world. Asa, who has no job, no access to bank accounts, and is battling cancer without health insurance, allegedly, is somehow finding money for the calls. She's prioritizing hearing Rex's voice over what? Her own medical care? It's hard to know. We don't know.
Over her own medical care, over the justice system, over people telling her that it's him, he is who he is. She's not listening. That was the last 4 minutes ago. So let's move on to what the next series was.
Her finances. We do know what she's told us. And then there's the divorce that wasn't really a divorce. Asa filed papers 6 days after Rex's arrest, leading many to believe she was cutting ties. But as you'll hear in this segment, that was purely strategic, a financial move to protect assets from civil lawsuits by families' victims. In her mind, in her heart, she still miss Rex Heuermann. Still devoted, still in love. She's waiting for her hero to come home. What Siobhan and I explore in this segment goes beyond the phone calls themselves to examining what psychologists call trauma bonding at its endpoint. This is what happens when the psychological chains become so strong that even prison bars can't break them. When the need for the abuser's approval transcends reality itself. When love becomes so distorted that it survives even the most horrific revelations. And then we hear from Victoria, Rex's daughter, whose journey from admiration to horror provides a stark contrast to her mother's continued devotion. The phrase that she uses, past tense, I looked up to him. A linguistic shift that Siobhan identifies as crucial. It's a crack in the facade, the beginning of acceptance, the start of healing. Perhaps the most disturbing is Asa's revelation about what would hurt Rex. In a moment that defies all logic, she suggests that telling him that she loved him would cause him pain. Think about that. After everything he's accused of, after all the evidence against him, she believes her love would hurt him. It's a statement so psychologically complex that even Siobhan struggles to fully unpack it. We're to witness a family in various stages of psychological destruction, a wife who can't see the monster she married, a daughter beginning to accept the unthinkable, and at the center of it all, a man accused of unimaginable crimes who still receives devoted phone calls from the woman who shared his bed for 27 years. It's trauma, it's denial, and delusion crystallized into a few minutes of footage that will haunt you long after you've watched it. Here's a interaction. We actually hear from Rex. This is them on a phone call in the documentary.
To accept this free call, press 1. To refuse this free call, press 2.
Hello. How you doing?
The suspected serial killer Rex Hewerman remains in jail on murder charges.
He's been held at the Suffolk County Jail in Riverhead since he was arrested.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
All right.
I'm doing great. Now that I've got you on the phone.
I figured I'd give you a call to make sure you were okay today.
All right. What'd you have for dinner?
Oh, just a burger and some mashed potatoes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll be nothing ready tomorrow. I'll try to get out and take a walk.
Uh-huh.
Because I couldn't today because they were just uncoordinated. And I still seeing you on Friday.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I will talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
And I will see you on Friday.
Yes.
Bye.
That was creepy. Just
Really creepy.
even her, and I don't want to like insult aesthetics or anything, but she even looked really creepy there with the teeth.
Well,
and all that. Like,
yeah, you know, when you're evaluating a person for psychological health, their physical appearance is something that you make note of. It's considered, you know, revealing. Are they well kept, well groomed? Do they take care? It doesn't have to mean they're beautiful, but you know, do they take care of themselves? If they don't, there's meaning in that.
Yeah.
This woman, her appearance, her current appearance, it raises some red flags again about things not being quite right with her.
What does it say? I mean, what does it say? Obviously, if you know, she's going through hell, like without a doubt. The whole family is. But I mean, what does that say? I mean, just look at this.
Bye. I'm talking to him all the time, but he only has a certain amount of time to be able to make calls. So I can't get too comfortable talking to him about things that are going to hurt him.
What would hurt him? What are things that hurt him? Telling him that I love him. That will hurt him. The two of us were married for 27 years. We were 100% part of each other's lives. Does everybody really believe everything they hear?
Rex Hewerman is a demon.
Charged as a serial killer.
Do you really believe everything that's being said?
This man is a sexual sadist.
He enjoyed torturing his victims.
Well, we didn't buy it.
Telling him that she loves him would hurt him. What do you get there?
That's an interesting one because clearly the way she's communicating to him shows her complete, utter dedication. And so is she thinking, you know, speculating, is she thinking that this is going to just stir his longing for her or highlight the loss? You know, I'm
Yeah, like she's remaining so loyal to him. I mean, he couldn't wait to get her off the phone. I mean, he knew he was being recorded and everything.
not quite sure. She had her eyes closed for a long moment during that. So what is the story that she's trying to generate?
Telling him that she loves him would hurt him.
It's an unusual response.
Extremely, yeah, like that. Why? Because you're divorced, but you're still standing by him. Would that hurt him because it brings shame to Rex? Does Rex feel shame if someone tells them that they love him because of, even though he's done what he's done? I don't know, it's a weird complex right there.
It's very weird, and I think whenever you get those eyes closed from her, there's something unusual going on in her thinking process that she's trying to pull something up.
Yeah.
And is it genuine? Because certainly the way she speaks to him is utter dedication.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this before we listen to some of the daughter stuff. What's your take on Mom? Do you think she knew anything that was going on here, and this is all some sort of cognitive dissonance, or is it just literally cognitive dissonance because she really didn't know what was going on, but by choice of not questioning Rex on so many things?
I think that this lady, you could say she's not, I won't say she meets criteria for any specific mental illness because I don't know enough about her, but she's not well, and she's probably never didn't have any idea, but she's so submissive and so dependent on him, and in myriad ways, including he's my friend, he's my best friend, everyone needs a friend. He was probably her only friend, and so she just is very good at not seeing what's right in front of her. That's what I call the negative hallucination. Regular hallucination, you're seeing.
I looked up to him.
1, 2, 3. Can you smile? That is.
I felt like, damn, I have some really big shoes to fill. Yeah.
when you think that he committed these acts while he was still seeing clients at his architecture firm, it made it even more chilling because he compartmentalized things to such a degree that he was able to outwardly conduct his life as normal in an otherwise routine way.
But his job was very demanding. And it started to be visible that this stress was weighing on his mental health. Sometimes he would come home frustrated. He needed to wind down. But he never hit any of us.
There were injuries to her face, torso, breasts.
The worst he would do
The women were bound at the head or at the chest and later at the legs.
was he would throw a plate into the sink.
Remains of 3 sex workers were discovered bound and concealed in burlap sacks.
That's the worst. Listen, like, my dad was an open book, and a lot of people who knew my dad, long-term clients, people he worked with for years, it was no secret he hunted. It was no secret he had guns. He was an open book.
Is it surprising? Is it weird?
I'm going to leave it there for today, and we'll come back and I'd love to watch more of this. I had no idea this podcast was out there, but it's a wonderful podcast. Please go and watch it. It has all insight, and he has some excellent guests as well. Yeah, stay tuned. I'll be putting more about human up from a little bit on this channel. That's what it was about originally. But go to Exposed TV, my other channel, for more of the gossip. I've only just started that channel, I'll be honest. I'll be putting more of my Epstein court documents on there because it has a lot of child abuse in it, and I can't deal with that, I'm afraid. Even saying the stuff that's on there. I don't want my channel getting any worse than it already has. So I'm trying to keep them both separate, you know. Yeah, what do you think about Isa? Do you think it's denial, or she is convinced, or does she know?